We want to share a few things to be aware of and things that can affect your policy when shopping around. Yaga, what's good, you guys? We are back with another video. We got the most love, you know what I'm saying?
The most love,
Mrs. Hotshot Macc in the building with us today.
What's up, fam?
Y'all already know, man. But anyways, she's with me because we're going to talk to you guys about insurance and what's been going on with our business and how Progressive has tried to kick us out of the game.
Progressive tried to shut us down.
They're trying to say you're going to pay 40% more on your insurance, even though y'all been doing things right. Even though your numbers are good, no violations, we don't care about none of that. We're going up 40%, $2,600, almost $2,600 a month. We're going to talk about what we did, what we're doing. Are we staying in? Are we keeping our carrier side open or not? So stay tuned. All right, babe, so being that you're back office of our operations, talk a little bit about what did you do to find out, our insurance was going this way?
It's not nothing that I did. Usually when you're up for renewal, they will send you a renewal letter probably 30 days prior to your renewal, 30 to 45 days to your renewal. When you get that letter, whether it's an email, whether it's your insurance agent letting you know, hey, the renewal letter's here, this is what's coming up to. You can even log into your portal if you have Progressive and just kind of see what the letter says. When I looked at my letter for renewal, I almost passed out. I honestly thought it was a joke. I thought it was a mistake. I was like, what's going on here?
Went into straight panic
I went into panic mode. I'm not even gonna lie. I went into panic mode. I was like, what did we do wrong here? We did everything right. We didn't grow too quickly. We have a clean CSA score. We have
we did everything that we thought we were supposed to do.
Everything that they say do correctly, especially for renewals. We were thinking, okay, this is our third renewal, so the rates is gonna go lower. This is what we're thinking. This is what I'm having in my mind. I'm excited. Finally, they say once you hit that 2 to 3 year mark, your insurance is supposed to drop down. That's what we hear from different people, right? Well, Progressive said, skirt, take a step back. And when we got that quote, it was literally, I would say between 40 and 45% increase to our current policy premium that we have. So because of the 40 to 45% increase, I'm like, whoa, what do we do here? Do we plan to renew? Doesn't even make financial sense. We went, and I don't care to share the numbers, we went from paying like $13.50 a month to paying, what they wanted us to pay was about $25.60 for the same policy, same everything. And I'm like, so I immediately called my insurance agent. I'm like, what happened? What can be the possibility? She doesn't know. I call Progressive itself. They don't know.
They don't have an answer.
They don't have an answer.
They don't have a reason.
So I requested our yearly. There's a letter that you can request. I can't remember the name of it right now. Just to make sure there hasn't been any claims that we don't know about or anything on the insurance. We get the letters. Everything was clean. There was no claims or nothing. So I'm like, okay, then what else can it possibly be? Speaking to multiple people, different insurance agents and stuff like that, come to find out that Progressive is doing this to a lot of people. You don't necessarily have to do or done anything wrong with your company.
What Progressive said is the whole state of Texas is seeing this increase. However, we know people in Texas and they didn't see the same increase.
Right, so I think they're nicking and picking. I'm not sure the analytics on how they're picking and choosing how there is an increase affected. I know that where our company's base is usually it's not in the city or anything like that. So I don't know if it necessarily meant it was the zip code, but there's a lot of people in the state of Texas being affected by this, not everyone, especially people that use Progressive as their insurance. Through this renewal, I learned a ton. Of information because for the past 2 years, we've renewed with Progressive. Progressive is pretty much black and white when it comes to your yearly policy, right? So I knew, our policy came, we just paid through the portal. This is the policy, you pay the deposit, and that's it. You move on. You can request your COIs through the website or directly through your insurance broker or insurance agent. But because I panicked, I actually tried to get quotes through multiple agents just to see where we were going to be at. Because that's what you should do. You should not go with the first quote that you get. One thing that I did figure it out is if you work with an insurance company, you don't want to work with the insurance company directly. You want to make sure you have a representative, an agent, an insurance company, external insurance company that has a pool of variety insurance or commercial insurance that can insure you. So making sure that that company that you're dealing with has a good relationships with the underwriters, one, and two, that this insurance company has a large pool with multiple insurance companies, not just Progressive. That way you can choose and pick who do you want to work with. Another thing that I learned, Progressive is probably one of the only companies that does their own funding. What does that mean? More than likely, if you do have an interest rate for financing that premium for the year, you're not really seeing it, or at least I didn't see it in our documents. However, when we did transition, because we went and got multiple quotes, thankfully we were able to find a company that the quote was reasonable and it makes sense and it had everything that we needed, that we had, especially vehicles, under the insurance.
So there you have it, y'all. We got a good rate. We're not leaving.
We here, we staying here.
It
was a reality check, and that reality check hit hard. And I tell you why. Most people rely on their motor carrier side for everything, for the success of your company. When you're relying on your motor carrier side of things for financial success of your company, or just scaling your company, you just never know what can happen. You can just have that insurance when it's time for renewal. Let's say you have 6-7 owner operators and hit you with like, hey, you need $50,000 to renew your insurance for a down payment, and you're like, where am I going to come up with that money if you're not financially stable, right? Or when I mean stable is, a lot of trucking companies, even though you have owner operators, you might not have $50,000 on your bank account to be able to put a down payment for an insurance. So when you're putting all your eggs in one basket, you're playing with fire. That's why we're big, not only in making sure that you're having multiple streams of income or diversifying your investment into multiple things and growing your company horizontally into multiple services, because at the end of the day, when you rely on one thing, whether your truck breaks down, whether your insurance decides not to renew you, whether the insurance decides, like Progressive, I'm going to increase you by 40-50%, you're like, man, where we could afford it and it was fine, because thankfully with the setup and what we have in place in our company, so because of that, our overhead is lower. For those of you guys that either had to come in with a higher overhead with truck and trailer, and if you get an increase like that, is it going to make financial sense for you to continue to stay in business or run that truck and trailer, especially the way that the rates currently are for Hotshots?
So some of y'all did definitely chime in on that post that I did, and some people made it aware that it's not just commercial insurance. This is happening with personal insurance. This is happening across the board, because as we know, a lot of people are being affected with what is happening in the economy. Would you say insurance is a scam? Would you say insurance is, they definitely take advantage of what they can do, in my opinion.
I believe so.
Based on, we rely on them. We can't operate without the insurance. So they don't care about us small carriers. They don't really care about, what we're trying to do. So we got a lot of things against us out here besides, fuel being high, insurance, for many right now, especially for the small carriers, it's a tough time. But like Wifey said, thankfully we were able to have our agent shop around a pool of companies to try to find the best rate for us. What were some of the things while you were doing some of that research that was affecting us?
One of the things that was affecting us, it was your CDL was not over 2 years old. Another thing that affected us is not having a semi equipment in our insurance. So Hotshot equipment, people will see us as the bottom of the pool. A lot of Hotshots are considered, if you haul vehicles, right? The way that they label you is as a car hauler, boat hauler, even if you're not hauling any boats. So the way that the underwriter would describe your company is they're going to categorize your company based on the most expensive commodity that you haul, or the most, not, I wouldn't say the most expensive, but the higher liability commodity that you're carrying. So in our case, the higher liability will be vehicles, since vehicles, even though vehicles might be 5 to 10% of the loads that we haul, they don't care, is going to be rated as the most liable. They label us as a car hauler, even though we're not car hauler. So those are some things that I learned. Another thing that I learned is really making sure that you're reading over your inclusions and exclusions as far as what's included, as far as freight. And
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, as far as what's included and what's excluded. So as far as like vehicles, if you're hauling vehicles on your on your equipment, making sure that you understand what's the value of each vehicle, making sure that you have cargo insurance to cover both vehicles. Some insurance companies, what they'll do is they won't allow you to carry any like specialty vehicles,
exotics,
like any exotic vehicles. Alone, one vehicle can cost $250,000, $300,000. So that's one thing that it will exclude. I know Progressive excludes all tarp loads. So sometimes you'll see on the load boards where the broker will say no Progressive insurance. That's because if you have a tarp load, Progressive is not going to cover if there's any water damage to the freight. Another thing that may not be covered is if you have a passenger. Let's say, God forbid, you get in a car accident and the passenger tries to put a claim to the insurance. The insurance is not going to pay any benefits to that passenger because it's an exclusion in your policy. So I would suggest definitely reading into your exclusions and inclusions sheet. If you don't know, request it from your insurance agent. Make sure you read it thoroughly so that way you know what's excluded. I even came to the point where when I called the FMCSA, they said if you are rated as a car hauler, this was kind of weird to me, I never knew this, you might have to add hazmat to your authority, because if depending on how many cars and vehicles you're hauling, the fuel and the oil in the car might be considered flammable, and since it's flammable, you're considered hazmat.
I didn't even think about
it's
that.
A category 9 hazmat. So I was like, oh man. So it really took a lot of like research, a lot of understanding of this policy that we currently have now, and for me to ask a lot of questions because I wanted to make sure that, God forbid, this was to happen next year again, that I'm knowledgeable enough to what I'm looking for. Another important thing, making sure that your insurance company is rated A. You might get a quote for $800, but might be with, a company that just started like 2 weeks ago. You might not have the proper coverage for your truck and trailer and commodities. So when that happens is, I had this conversation with my insurance agent. I was like, what about those people that say they get paid $800, $1,000 for the insurance? And she's like, well, yeah, they can do that, but those insurance companies might disappear from a blink of an eye. So what that means is that you paid the policy, right? Because you're essentially financing the policy. When you finance the policy and they disappear, they're not going to give you any money back, because the company just disappeared. So there's a lot of companies that do that just to get money, and then they just fall from the face of the earth and you'll never hear from them. So those are some things to really consider.
That's why, having a good agent is very beneficial, even for us. As much as we're always continuing to learn, her being able to ask the right questions to an agent that has experience in the lane that we're in. So
not only experience, but willing to give you those answers and not feel bothered, because I text her throughout the day. If I have questions, if I need anything, like you want to know individually how much are you paying for each truck and trailer, especially if you're planning to add owner operators. What does it cover on the owner operators policy that you've added? Is there physical damage in there? Are you covering the trailer? So you have the choice to decide what do you want to cover for that owner operator, and they have to be responsible for some type of insurance. So depending on how you're running your operations, depending on how you're planning to scale, you definitely have to put some systems and processes to really know how to properly onboard a driver and an owner operator based on your commercial insurance.
So I had a question, I think, in the comments about what are some good insurance companies. The best answer would be to get that answer from an experienced agent that shops around, that has worked with different insurance companies, underwriters and things like that. So we can't really say a great insurance company. I would say definitely get with a great agent. We will recommend ours. I'll actually have the information for our agent if you guys are in the South and are up on renewal and are looking for a good agent. We got nothing to say but great things about our insurance agent. So I'll drop her information.
We actually been with her
comments.
for the past 3 years, so we've been very blessed to have her as part of our team, and for us to really be able to be guided through the whole from the start to now. And if you have questions and stuff like that, being able to have somebody that's resourceful. Also, they have a Spanish side, so if you're Hispanic, Latino, and necesitas alguien que hable español, they have another agent that speaks Spanish. I've spoken to her numerous amount of times, and she is super knowledgeable. And that's something that if I speak to you and and I'm quiet, I know that you're good. Because if not, you know, I'm gonna be asking like 21 questions.
That's a good point. But yeah, y'all, so there you have it, man. We are staying in the business. We're not going anywhere for now, at least. Thankfully, we were able to find a great rate that works for us. Again, you know, a lot of people that's new, that's getting into this right now, or that have been, just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, ask the questions, do your research. A lot of people go on Facebook for one, and you see all these people lease on $800, $400, you know, a month for insurance. That sounds good at the time, but just be aware, you know, like she said, those companies can go just like that.
If it sounds too good to be true, it's because it is. So if you're planning to lease on with a company, make sure you fact check the company, make sure you check their company numbers, read over your agreements, make sure that you understand what you're signing. At the end of the day, when you lease onto a company, is their policies and procedures. So you have to obey by their policies and procedures and whatever it is that they cover. Some companies may cover full cover, some companies may not. So you're responsible to make sure that you have physical coverage for your truck and trailer. Just so the commercial insurance might be a little bit cheaper, because if not, you could be paying anything between $2,000 and $2,500 for a fully loaded policy that covers vehicles.
All right, y'all, we're about to wrap this video, but before we do, we want to share a few things to be aware of and things that can affect your policy when shopping around.
So some of the things that would affect your commercial policy would be your personal credit, the value of your vehicle or the value of your equipment, truck and trailer, your home location, where you're based or where the company's based,
your experience behind the wheel, how long have you been driving, how long have you held your CDL.
Also your record. So as you're operating or you're coming up to renewal, how's your CSA score? So normally those are some things that underwriters will look when renewing your or giving you your renewal letter. Like I said, this time around when it came to a renewal, we have no idea what could have been potential triggered. I don't think there was no reason.
You know, I've seen this conversation too. Is it that too many carriers came in and are getting claims? Are they seeing a higher liability? Or are they trying to push people out of the business? Are they overwhelmed? Are they not wanting to take on the liability? What I think is that, you know, they were probably receiving too many claims. A lot of uneducated, a lot of unexperienced people are out here are causing problems.
I even heard that Progressive was having financial issues. So was one way to recover, increase everybody's policy. Not everyone's policy is going up, but everybody's definitely seeing an increase, but not everybody's going as drastically as ours. However, it's something to be considered. Be prepared. If you're up for renewal and you have Progressive, definitely be aware that that can be potential. If you went through renewal recently or you're up for renewal, we definitely would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. How much increase are you seeing? You can say percentage if you want to drop your rates, what they went up to. We'd love to see. I think one way to share and create awareness so everything that's happening in the industry is definitely having these open conversations where we're able to discuss and really understand how is it really being affected. What type of metrics are they using?
All right, y'all, so that's gonna wrap it up, man. Hope you guys were able to take something away from this video. Knowledge on insurance based on our experience and what we've been through. We'll continue to kind of give you guys updates as time goes by, as we add owner operators, as we learn things. I like to bring Wifey on because she is the brains with the back office and dealing with insurance and things like that. I'm slowly educating myself on a lot of these things, so it's been a blessing to have, you know, someone like her on the team. She goes full force when she needs to figure something out. So with that being said, we're gonna shut the video down, man. Hope you guys like the video. Subscribe if you're new. Y'all tell the Wifey thank you in the comments. You know, she's always here to drop gems and give knowledge and help y'all out. So,
and this is all based on my experience. You can share your own experience down in the comments. If you're an insurance agent and you want to put your 2 cents, do it. This is honestly just kind of sharing our experience, so you can either take it with a grain of salt or see how can it apply to your business so it can be easier for you when you're upcoming for your renewal. For me, it really caught me off guard, and it's not something that nobody really out there is talking about. Nobody really discuss how insurance can either make you or break you. Many people just talk about how to get started and how to run that truck, but nobody talks about how to scale and how to maintain your company. So
yeah, we're going to continue to do our best. We're going to continue to grind, figure these things out. When we get these obstacles, we'll just find different ways to hop over the hurdles.
Yeah.
So love y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like I said, like the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.